Okay, so we're going to get started here by working with an Excel sheet that basically consists of a series of exercises built around a set of data. And when you open up this file, it will open up to a list of exercises that we're going to ask you to do using the data that you can find down here in the second tab at the bottom of the screen. And that tab is called raw data. And as you'll notice here, basically the raw data consists of all of the first year seminars taught at Wheaton from the fall semester 2001 to the spring semester of 2011. And we are going to basically try to generate a report, if you will. We're going to ask some questions of this information, try to organize it so that it's a little bit more meaningful rather than simply a long list of sections that were taught. As you'll see here, there are nearly 290 sections, roughly. So in order to do that, we need to make sure that we have some information about each section. And one thing that you'll notice, for instance, is that in our columns, we have broken down the information into relatively discrete parts so that we have choices later on. It's always better to avoid combining bits of information, even if at the time it doesn't necessarily seem like you're going to need to split them apart. For instance, we may never need to have the last name and the first name of the instructor separated, but it's better to do it at the beginning than to have to go back, separate them, and not just here, but in anything else that we've used this data for, becomes a headache. So at any rate, what you'll see here is that in the activities, the first thing we want you to do is to get in the habit of always saving a backup of the original data set that you have, just in case as you find yourself putting in time processing the data, formatting it, etc., perhaps something doesn't work out the way you thought it would, or you run into a glitch, and suddenly you find yourself feeling as if a lot of the work that you did is not really the way you want to go and you'd like to start over, or maybe you simply misplaced a record or a set of records and you need to bring them back in. You just want a clean set. So what you want to do is go ahead and however works best for you, you just want to basically create a backup of the original file. Now, working with this file, the first thing we want to do is to create a second worksheet, or a copy, excuse me, of the second worksheet here. Now, these tabs are technically called worksheets, and the file that we're working in is called a workbook. Your workbook can consist of many worksheets. So we have a worksheet here, and obviously one way I could do this would be to select everything on this worksheet and copy it, right? I could just come up here, select copy. I can hit the plus sign, and then I can paste, and all of my information will be here, but it's not going to look exactly the same. This isn't too big of a problem, but if you do have a lot of formatting, it isn't necessarily the best way to do it. So rather than do it this way, let's get into the habit of actually copying the entire sheet. So get rid of this sheet, and instead we're going to use move or copy sheet. And this is under the edit menu. We're going to do that by saying put it at the end and create copy. Select OK, and you'll see that now there is an exact duplicate of the entire worksheet here. And I'm going to double click here and I'm going to name this tab or this worksheet table format, and we'll come back to this in a while and see why.